All right, everyone. So, yeah, today's August 29th, 2024, and today's class, we're going to be in Microsoft Word. This is our fourth class on Microsoft Word. So, if you've missed a couple of the previous ones, I would encourage you to either one, go to our YouTube channel. If you just go to YouTube and type in Mission Africa Computer Training, you'll find that there are about 50 or so videos. They all have like a black background. That's going to be our training video. So we have a lot of our recordings that are posted up. The training from last week is already up, and all of the ones we've been previously doing over the last year and a half or so. So definitely go check those out when you have some time. Otherwise, the other way to catch up on learning if you missed any classes is to go to your North Star account. If you don't have one, you can put it in the chat and I'll make sure to get you one here after class today. But a North Star account will allow you to do some on-demand training. A lot of the curriculum that we're using is also supported and created by North Star. So you can actually go into their online website and you can take classes there on demand on your own time also. So a couple different ways to catch up. Those classes are really good. And then you can also, at the end of these classes, when you feel comfortable in Microsoft Word, you can also in North Star take a certification kind of course to get a certificate. And that's something that you could, of course, share with future employers and so forth to show that you have, certain skills as far as Microsoft Word, Excel, Outlook, and some of the things that you would be using if you're going to be going into a job potentially. So just wanted to share that to start off. For today, we are going to be looking at how to save a document, how to name a document, how to save it in the proper location. We're going to talk about building folders and organizing the files on your computer. That's probably one of the most important things you can do is being organized because a computer is good and bad in this way. It's good because it can hold a ton of files and information, but that's bad if you're not organized, right? You can have a lot of information on your computer and not remember where to find it or where you put it. So we're going to talk a little bit about organization today, organizing items into folders that make sense so that when you want to go retrieve something, you have an easy time finding it. So we'll talk about that. We're also in Microsoft Word, we're going to be talking about changing the margins, and I'll demonstrate and explain what that means shortly. Essentially, that is kind of the space around the edges of your piece of paper that you would be working on or printing. You can change that margin on how much white space is around the edges, right? So we've all seen, for instance, like photos where the photo has like something that like a big border, right? We've all seen those before. It has a big white border or a small white border. So that's essentially what your margin is. So we're going to look at that today. Additionally, and we've done this in a previous class, we're going to look at orientation. So orientation is when your paper is, longer up and down, which is normally what we'd read. Normally, when we read a book, we're reading pages that are longer than they are wide. So that would be called portrait mode. We're also going to look at putting your piece of paper, if you're working on something that needs to be in landscape mode, where it's wider than it is long, right? So we've all seen landscape where if you take a photo normally of like the mountains or a sunset or something, you normally turn your camera on your phone sideways so you can get a better landscape view. So the same thing happens in Microsoft Word when you're messing with different projects. Sometimes you might want it to be wider than you want it to be up and down. So we'll look at that and how to do that in Microsoft Word. And then lastly, we'll look at just some of the common file extensions in Microsoft Word and what those mean. So a couple things to cover today. And if anyone has any questions, of course, feel free to raise your hand, drop a question in the chat, or you can wait to the end and we can just ask them live. So with that, I'll go ahead and get started. So you guys can see my desktop here. Normally, when you start your computer, this is what you're going to see, right? Just desktop. I did clean my desktop up, so notice that it's very clean. Thank you, thank you. I know you guys like it. I like a clean desktop. This is like having a clean office, right? There's nothing like having a dirty room or a dirty office. It just doesn't feel like you can operate properly there because like it just feels like there's confusion. Has anybody ever felt that before, right? You like walk into a dirty kitchen and you feel like you can't cook until you clean up the dishes, right? Same thing here with your computer. You want to have a nice, clean desktop that's organized. Things have a place. They go in their place. They're not just all spread around, right? And so I did start today with a nice, clean desktop to find, again, Microsoft Word and to open it. There's a couple different ways to do that, just to review. I know most of you guys are familiar with this, but just to review if anyone's new, Microsoft Word can be found here for me at this bottom kind of row at the bottom of the screen. If I hit that W, that blue W, it'll open up Microsoft Word. So I can just click it like that and it'll just open up. The other way to do it is here in the search, I can type in Word and then it'll come up here and I can just do one click and then it pops up here. And then if we wanted to make a brand new document, we would just hit new right here on the left. And then we would just hit blank. Okay. You will notice there's a lot of different formats here, a lot of different options for making calendars and all kinds of fun stuff. We did cover that in a previous class. It talks about creating templates and using templates to start you off, like resumes. There's all kinds of fun stuff in here. But today we're just going to be looking at a blank document. So I'm just going to click on blank document. And here we are with our blank document again to review. To zoom in and out, I normally would use this area down here in the bottom right. So you can hit negative to zoom out, or you can zoom in. Notice it tells you the percentage of zoom here in the corner. So we're at 130% there, and we're at 70, 60% here. So I'm just going to operate from here for a second. The first thing I want to show you guys is how to change the direction of your page. So as you can see on this page, it is currently longer up and down, right, north and south, than it is wide. Here at the top of the page, I'll zoom in just a little bit so you guys can see this. At the top of the page, you will see that there is a ruler. If that ruler wasn't there and we wanted to pull it up, you could go to View and then just click on a ruler there to get that ruler there. That'll just show you some dimensions of the page that you're going to be working on. So for instance, on this page, a normal piece of paper is 8.5 wide, 8.5 inches wide by 11 inches long. Okay, so that would be 8.5 across from left to right. And then it would be approximately 11 inches long, so up and down, right? So if I zoom in on this piece of paper currently, we have 8.5 inches all the way across, but notice this gray area over here. This is called the margin. So you can't write in that area. So notice if I start writing, hi, welcome to class today. I'll zoom way in just to make it easier to see. So you'll notice that when I start writing, it leaves this white area over here. That's what we call the margin. So notice in this particular case, from here to here is grayed out. So we have a 1-inch margin on this piece of paper. So again, remember, we have 8.5 inches wide. So if I have a 1-inch margin here on the left, and I have a 1-inch margin here on the right, again, 8.5 is our total width. So 8.5 minus 1-inch margin here, 1-inch margin there, it leaves you 6.5 inches. And let's look at what we got. When we start writing, we write right here in the white area. So you can see we have 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inches, 4, 5, 6. We have 6.5 inches. Okay, so 6.5 inches of writing space. We have 1 inch on the left of a margin and a 1 inch on the right. Now, the purpose for this is so that your papers look nice and neat. And it's, I don't know if you've ever read a book before and, like the writing goes all the way to the edge. You're not going to really see that because most writers use about a 1 inch to a 1/2 inch margin. That way, the words aren't running right up to the edge. Can you imagine if you had, let's say, like a spiral bound book that had a lot of pages in it, and as you were trying to turn the page, you guys know how like big books, where it kind of curls in to where it attaches. It's kind of thick there and it's hard. So you want a nice margin there because you don't want people trying to flip the page and they can't read kind of that area in the middle. And so, yeah, so this margin here is really nice. But let's look at how we actually change that margin. Okay. So to do that, let's go over here to layout. So again, we have several tabs. As you guys know, we spent a lot of time in the home tab. We've been looking at font. We've been looking at the paragraph area. But today we're going to be looking at layout. So I'm going to go to the layout menu here and let's look at margin. So I'm going to click it. And right now it shows that we have a normal margin. And a normal margin, as you'll see, is 1 inch on the top, 1 inch on the bottom, 1 inch on the left, and 1 inch on the right. So all the way around the piece of paper, you have a 1 inch margin that's not going to be able to be written in that area. Okay, so if we wanted to just go with narrow, like here, it would change everything to 1/2 an inch. So I want you to see what happens when I do that. So notice here, again, the beginning of the writing starts here. When I go to narrow, the writing's going to start back over here in this area. So let's go to margin, we'll go to narrow, and there you go. See, it moved it back here to the 1/2 inch mark. So now from the edge of the paper, you only have a 1/2 an inch and you have a 1/2 an inch here. So now, because we know that there's 8.5 inches wide, if we only have a 1/2 an inch on each side, we now have 7.5 inches of writing space. So why would you do that? If you've ever written a paper and the teacher says, "Hey, I want you to," or sometimes a resume. This is a really good example, actually. A lot of employers don't want a resume that's longer than 1 page. They want to just be able to read a quick resume, 1 page. They don't want it to be 2 and 3 and 4 pages long. So sometimes if you need to get more information on the page, this is one way to do it is by decreasing the margin. So you're going to have more information on the page because, of course, you have more width to write in. Does anybody have any questions about why you would increase the margin, decrease the margin? Any questions on that before we go ahead?
No, but I'm glad you showed me because I've been doing it manual all these years and I can just
Mm,
click the other option. So thank you.
yeah, of course. Yeah, and you can, of course, you can do it manually. So these are kind of the most common defaults, right? Is normal or narrow. But yeah, you definitely can do that. You can come down here again from the margin menu and you can hit custom margin. And this is where you can choose to do it. You can have a 2 inch on the top or a 2 inch on the bottom, and then 1/2 an inch on the right and left. It's really up to you how you want to do that. And so, yeah, it's pretty nice. And you can also change it to be different in different points of the document. I won't spend too much time on this, but you can apply those margins to an entire document or you can just do it from this point forward. So sometimes, like page 1 of a book report, let's say, maybe you want page 1 to look different than the rest of the pages. And so you might do a certain margin for page 1. And then from that point forward, you want to use a different margin for the actual text and the body of the text. So you can also do that. Okay. All right, so we're at a narrow margin right now. We see that we have 7.5 inches wide. Another thing you can do here to sometimes get more space, I'm going to zoom out so you can see the whole document here. So I just held down Control and I rolled my mouse button backwards there. Again, you can always use these buttons here in the bottom also to zoom in and out. But a quick shortcut for that is just to hold down Control and roll your mouse forward to zoom in or backwards towards yourself to zoom out. All right, so the other thing you can do if you want to get more space on your document here is you can also come also to layout menu here again, but this time we want to go use the button right next to it. So orientation. So under orientation, see we have two options, either portrait or landscape. So currently we're in portrait again, where it's longer. So it's a longer page than it is wide. If I go to landscape, I'm going to go ahead and click just a left click on landscape. See what it does to my page. See how it moved it to be wider now than it is long. So this is called landscape mode. And this helps to, again, now you have more space. Look how much space we have here for writing now. So remember, in landscape, the page is now going to be 11 and a half wide. So look at how much space we have to write. We have almost 10 inches or so here to write on. Okay, so it's pretty wide. So you can get a lot of information in there. When would you use landscape mode? If you were doing maybe a flyer, if you were doing a flyer, you might use landscape mode, or you were doing some type of announcement, like you put up like a, no entry sign, right? You might write it in landscape and then turn it sideways and post that up on a door somewhere, right? Don't come in this room. Room is not authorized, whatever you want to write, right? So those type of things might go in landscape mode versus portrait. Okay, let's see. All right, let's look at a little bit of a review here just to have you guys participate for a little bit and not have to listen to me the whole time. I want to bring this over and we're going to go through this little exercise together just to talk about landscape versus portrait. So this first picture here, and feel free to unmute if you guys would. This first picture here, the black and white one with the trees, is this landscape or is this portrait?
It's landscape.
Exactly. Notice, by the way, most of the time landscape is like pictures of the earth, outdoor pictures, because it's nicer to see like more stuff. So yes, that is landscape. How about this second one right here? Landscape or portrait?
Still right.
Mm-hmm. Yep, still landscape. How about this one here, this third one?
Portrait.
Portrait. Mm-hmm. How about these two here? The picture of the man, the old man, and then the lady here in the middle.
Both it's
Are these portrait or landscape?
Portrait.
Portrait. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
They made it really easy for us. They actually made them portraits. How about this one here? Landscape or portrait? This picture with the two trees.
it is a landscape.
Mm-hmm. And then how about the mountains? Landscape or portrait?
A landscape.
Landscape.
Yep. And then how about this gentleman over here with the big smile? Portrait or landscape?
Portrait.
Portrait. And then how about
Mhm.
Mona Lisa, the famous picture? Portrait or landscape?
A portrait.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So you guys get it. So yeah, it's pretty easy, but it's something that you can use to, again, be able to get sometimes less or more information on your pieces of paper, depending on what you're working on or what you got going on. Okay. All right. Who can tell me again, just part of a review, like what is a normal piece of paper's size if it's in portrait? Anybody remember the dimensions of a normal piece of paper?
8 by
I'll
11.
I'll put this up to help. Let me go back to portrait. Let me go back to margin and normal. Okay, I'll put this up here. What was it again?
8 by 11.
Almost. It's a little bit wider.
8.5 by 11.
8.5 by 11. Exactly.
8.5.
And yeah, 8.5 wide and then 11 long. Does anybody know what is legal document? What is a legal document size? Does anybody know that?
Is it 8
8.5 to
by
11.
14?
So legal documents are a little bit longer, actually. Like sometimes if you've ever seen like a mortgage document, they usually use legal paper. They're a little bit longer. Anybody know what that size is? This is just a bonus question.
Is it 14?
Yeah, it's 8.5 by 14. Exactly. So it's a little bit longer. Yep. Perfect. And also, if you do end up changing that, and you can change that in Microsoft Word so that you can write on an 8.5 by 14. Let's actually look at that. Let's see. I think it's, let me see if I can find where that is. I haven't looked at that in a while. It's normally under page setup. Let's go to size. Here we go. Yeah, so right here next to margin and orientation. See here you have letter, so normal piece of paper is 8.5 by 11. But yeah, a legal document, which would be like a mortgage document, would be like 8.5 by 14. Okay. Now, Word will do some other stuff, and it gets kind of crazy, so I won't go down this kind of track, but it also will do like envelopes, and you can print on envelopes, like your address. If you have a bunch of envelopes to send out and you have a printer that'll work with envelopes, then you can actually like put 100 envelopes into the printer and have it just print your address, one by one onto those envelopes. It can also print labels, so like sticky labels, right, where you print your address on a bunch of labels. Maybe there's 30 labels on a piece of paper, and you peel it off and stick it onto a envelope. Word can also do that. Okay, but that'll be for another lesson. Just wanted to mention that though, so that you know it can be done. All right, perfect. Let's see. All right, so now I want to go into saving documents and finding their locations. So this is really important. So I'm going to go ahead and actually close this out. I'm going to hit don't save for now. So again, notice here I have like a blank desktop, right? So the desktop is probably the easiest place to save documents at, right? But again, if you had like a normal desk at home, how much stuff do you really want on your desk? If you have like a filing cabinet or something like that, it's usually better long term if you have like a filing cabinet or somewhere to store documents, or even just like office supplies, a stapler and things like that. It's much nicer to have places to store that stuff than keeping everything on your desktop. But sometimes if you want to access something quickly, you might have like a little holder for pens and paper. You might have a little holder that has like paper clips, maybe some scissors, and some things like that. But you try to keep your desktop pretty clean. But one of the things that computers can do, and I'm specifically speaking about a Windows computer, Apple computers do the same thing, but it just does a little bit different. But one of the things you can do here is let's go ahead and I'm going to create a folder here, and I'm going to just say, so I'm just on my desktop, all I did was just right click. So again, using my mouse, I'm not doing a normal left click, which would be your normal click. So you're using your middle finger on the mouse on the desktop. So just from a blank space on the desktop, you can just right click on the desktop. And it gives you some options here. And we're going to go to new, and then we're going to left click on folder. So notice you can create like a new blank document for PowerPoint or text document or even Excel, but we just want to create a new folder. So let's create a folder, and I'm going to call this folder, I'm going to call it family. And I'm going to hit enter. Okay, so I have this folder called family. There's nothing in it. Okay, so nothing's in it right now. Empty folder. If you just click and hold, you can move it around, right? So as I click and hold, when I release, it drops. So click, hold, move it up here to the top right. I can release it, and I can move this thing around all day. Okay. If there were a bunch of documents in it, you can also move it the same way. So everything in it will move with it. So I want to add some documents inside of that now and some additional folders. And this is one of the things I love about Windows is you can really be organized. So I don't know about you guys, but oftentimes when you have multiple family members, you get, receipts when you buy things. Some of you may own a business, so you may need to keep records for your business. Some of you may need to keep medical records when you go to the doctor, and they give you like your records when you leave, and they have like a record of payment, and then they also have the notes from that. Or maybe you got a prescription and you want to keep all that stuff because you might need that stuff one day. A computer is a really good way if you have like a computer scanner, or even if they send you an electronic copy of it sometimes by email, you can save those documents to your computer. Pastor Zippy, I see you have a hand up.
Yeah, I'm wondering whether it's my side, but your screen is black.
It is. Can you see the little I did change it. I changed it, okay? But you should see that one folder on my desktop.
Yes, I can, but you know,
Okay.
the last one.
Yes, I'm just talking right now. I will
Okay.
be adding some stuff to it in a second. Thank you, though. So yes, so I have this folder called family, and now let's say that I want to add some additional things inside of that folder. So I'm going to double click inside of that folder. It's going to open up that folder. So notice the location of the folder. It's located under, let me go here. Yeah, so it's located where it says Eric Personal. So this is my laptop. And then it says desktop. And then on desktop, see, there's a lot of different things here, but I want to just go to this one called family. How do I know that that's the one I want to go to? It shows, by the way, that it was modified right here today, August 29th at 6:27, just 2 minutes ago. So that's one of the nice features in Windows. It'll tell you the last time something was edited or opened. So I'm just going to open that. And again, I just opened up the folder that was here on the desktop. So the location is desktop and then family. So within this, let's say you have 3 family members in the house. So I'm going to make some folders inside of the family folder now. So I'm going to, again, now that I'm in the family folder, right? So within that folder, I can right click and do new folder, or while I'm here, I can come over here and just do new and also click folder. So I'm going to say mom. I'm going to do new folder for dad. And then I'm going to do new folder for son. And let's do one for daughter. Okay, so we got a family of 4. And within the family folder, we have a folder for each person in the household. So again, let me close it out. And again, from the family folder, you double click. And we see now we still have our 4 folders. Okay. Let's put something inside of the dad folder. I'm going to double click dad, and I'm going to add 2 folders there. With the under dad, I'm going to say, let's say military records. This is just from my personal experience. I have all my military records, and I was in the Army 20 years ago, but I kept a lot of those records, like evaluations from my senior officers. I kept my physical fitness test results, my test when I went to the range and showed how well I shot the weapon. I kept everything, right? Even my records of my health records from being in the military, right? So I'm going to say military records for me. And then I'm going to make one more area, and I'm going to call this, let's say, medical records. And I'm going to hit enter. So again, to back up and close it out, so we have family. And then we have folders within that. I'm going to open up dad. And you see that there's 2 folders there, medical records and military records. Does anybody have any questions really quick about how we structure folders, right? Because it's really nice that you can put folders inside of folders. There's no limit really on how deep you can go. So you could, under medical records, then you could, if you wanted to really get detailed, you could have, one for each year, 2022, right? 2023, 2024. Right? So you can do it that way. And then within each one of those, maybe you could say dental in 2024, and then maybe you wanted to say something and maybe eyes for 2024. So notice, like, you can continue to just put folders inside of folders. The more organized you want to be, the more folders you're probably going to need. But again, it makes it really easy to find your information, because I can just go to dad and say, oh, I'm looking for medical records. What year did those medical records from? Oh, 2024. Oh, was it dental records or eye? It was, oh, is that dental? I got that cap on that tooth. Go dental, and then you can find your file in there. Okay. All right, so I'm going to close this out, and I want to show you all how to save a document into one of those folders. So again, let's go to Microsoft Word, and I'm going to just open up a brand new document. Let's see. I'm gonna just see if I can find a template here for something. Okay, so I'm just going to do this. So I'm just going to hit create here. Okay. So let's say that I'm just going to write today's date, August 29th, 2024, patient name, Eric Hunter, address, Seattle, Washington, and then I'll say Dear Eric. Okay, so let's say that I received this letter in Microsoft Word. I opened it up in my computer, and it was a letter to me about some kind of medical appointment that I had. And it's something that I want to keep, right? Because it has maybe important information that I might need to reference at a future date. So to do that, the first thing you want to do, anytime you've opened a new document, the computer doesn't know where you want to save that document. So it's important that you tell the computer where you want to save that document at. But once you tell it in future references, you can just hit save and it already knows where to save it. So this document right now doesn't have like a home. So the first thing you need to do is go here to File in the top left. So File menu. And notice there's Save and Save As. I'm going to do Save As. And then it asks, well, where do you want to save that particular document? So I'm going to go ahead and click on this PC. Actually, I'm going to click on Browse. Let's do that. That'll be a little easier for you guys to see. Once I hit Browse, notice that it brought up this window. So again, let me just go back again and show you guys. So again, we do File, Save As. Then we want to hit Browse because we want to find that folder that I created earlier. We want to find that folder and then tell it to save this document there. So I'm going to hit Browse. It brings up this menu that has a ton of folders in it. And notice it says Eric and then Documents. But remember, we created that folder on the desktop. So let's go find that folder that says Family. And then we want to save this under Medical and then 2024 Medical Records for Eric. So I'm going to hit Desktop right here, because remember we created that folder on the desktop. And here we are. See this folder here? It says family and it says date modified. Today's date, right? 8/29/2024 at 6:30 p.m. So this is our top level folder. This is the folder that we just put on our desktop. So if you double click that, again, notice the structure. This is all the documents that we created and all the folders we created. So I'm just going to click on DAD. I'm going to click on medical records this year. And oh, there's not actually one just for general medical records, so that's fine. Because I had dental and eye. This was just a general doctor follow-up. So now that we've found the location, I just want to save it here under 2024. I'm going to call it follow-up letter. So this is where the name goes. See, it says file name here. So I'm going to say follow-up letter from Dr. Thomas, August 29th, 2024. So again, we find a location. That's the first step to saving. Then the second step is to give it a name. We hit save. And it's still saving. You see the little circle kind of doing its thing, and now it's saved. Notice up here, now that it's saved, we have a title up here at the top. Before it said document 1, but now that we've saved it, it says follow-up letter from Dr. Thomas, August 29, 2024. Okay, and it says saved. So there we go. So I'm going to close it out using this. And now let's go find the document together. And I want to show you a little bit of information about the document. So again, family, dad, medical records this year. And see, we have this document right here, right? So this is the document we just saved. Again, it shows it was saved on August 29th at 6:37, just a few minutes ago. If I look at it, notice that it says it's a Microsoft Word document. If I wanted to get additional details about this document, I could right click it and do properties. So I right clicked and I did properties. That brings up this little dialog box here. Let me kind of make some space so we can see it. So I right clicked on the document and then it brings up this and it shows me just a little bit of information about it. It shows me that it is what kind of file is it? See, it says type of file, Microsoft Word document, DOCX. So that is the primary, when you save a Word document, most of the documents are going to save as a DOCX. So if someone does not have Microsoft Word on their computer, and you try to open a DOCX document, it won't know how to open it because it doesn't have the software that understands what that document is. It would be like trying to, let's say, put a CD into a tape player. It's not going to work, right? Because a tape player doesn't know how to read a CD. And same thing here. So when you see DOCX after a document as a type of file, that's telling you that it's going to take Microsoft Word to open that document. Let's see, a couple other things we see here. We see the size, 4.3 megabytes. And we can see a couple of important things, and this is really important. You can see the date it was created, the date it was last modified, and then when was the last time it was accessed. Why do you think this last time accessed might be important? Anybody? Why would it be important to know the last time a file was accessed? Thinking from a security perspective, let's say you had an important document and last time you opened it was a week ago, but then you come look at this and it says it was accessed today. What would that tell you? Somebody opened your document, right?
Yes.
Even if they didn't change it, someone accessed it and they opened it, right? So this can be a really interesting piece of information because again, the creation date is going to be the same, the modified date is going to be the same because they didn't change it, but they accessed it last a minute ago in this case, okay? So I'm going to hit OK there. So there's a couple ways to then open a document once you saved it. So I'm going to close this out. So one way is to go find the document and actually double click on it. Let's do that together. So double click, go to DAD, go to medical records, 2024, and then here's your document right here. So if I want to open it, I can double click. And there's my document. So the hard part about that method is you have to remember where it was saved. Okay. And again, the more you work on a computer, the more you're going to be like, I don't know where I saved that document. I do it all the time, by the way. Like at work, I'm constantly like, where did I save that document? So there's another shortcut that you can use. So if you know that you made the document in Microsoft Word, you can just simply open Word and it does a really nice job of showing you the recent documents that you've worked on in Microsoft Word. And what's the top one right here? Follow-up letter from Dr. Thomas, August 29th. And if you couldn't remember the full name of it, you can also search here and you can type in, let's say you remember a part of it and you remember that, oh, it was Dr. Thomas. You could write in Thomas and it found the document. Okay. So I'll show that to you again. So you just go to Word. And again, here under where it says recent documents, you can just type in some of the keywords and then it brings up, it's like, oh, is this the document you're looking for? So let's say it was way down, it would be able to find it. So it only keeps
It's
about
so
the last,
helpful. I'm sorry.
go ahead.
So very helpful.
Yes, it is. Because you just have to remember a keyword, right? So sometimes you like, I know I did it in Microsoft Word. I don't know where I saved it at. This is an easy way to find it if you just come to Word. And let's say I typed in, like I have all kinds of budgets on this. Well, not Microsoft Word. I have a lot of resumes. Let's say I did like resume, right? I have all these different resumes from different stuff that I've done over the years, right? So I could find potentially like the resume that I was looking for, or maybe it was let's say calendar. So it looks like I've only done one thing to set that had calendar in it, and it's right here, right? Family weekly calendar. And there's a location, and all I have to do is click on it, and it opens it right back up. I actually did this calendar this week for our family because we got a lot going on this week. Okay. How do y'all like that picture of Christian and Zoe? Y'all like that? I like it. It's one of my favorite pictures.
Very cute.
Yeah, that was down at Chambers Bay in University Place a
Wow.
couple years back. All right. Okay. So now we know a little bit about creating files, saving them. Let me open this back up. I just want to review one more time how to save a file to a location. Let's say I had a resume. Just going to hit create. So again, just to review and show one more time. So to save a file on a particular location, let's say we just wanted to save this directly to the desktop, and we would save directly to the desktop if we wanted to access it quickly, right? So we would just go to File, Save As, Browse, and then we would find our desktop here. Just click on that and say first name, last name, resume, and maybe the month, so you remember when you made it, so it doesn't get confused with an old one. And then we just hit save. And it goes ahead and saves it. Notice now that you have a name up here. Let's close it out. And I'm going to go find that document. I just saved it to my desktop. Where is it? Let's see. There it is. I'm bringing it over. And there it is. All right. So the document, you can, again, open it from here by double clicking, or you can just open it from Microsoft Word. Okay. Let's see. Another file type you might sometimes see associated with Microsoft Word is a .doc. So a .doc is an older formatted Word document. Now, Microsoft Word, it gets updates pretty regularly, a couple times a year. It will always be able to open up old Microsoft Word documents. So let's say you created a document in 2022, it's probably going to be in a .doc file type, which indicates that it's an old Microsoft Word document. Microsoft Word, again, will be able to open that, and then you could potentially even resave it once you reopen it as a docx. Now, the only purpose to save as a docx document would be, let me go ahead and share the properties here so you guys can have something to look at. The only reason to resave it as a docx is because there's going to be more customization that you can do to a docx document versus a DOC document. The DOC document is going to be a little bit limited because it's an older technology. So yeah, anytime you have a Word document, you want to be saving it as a docx. So let's look at that. I'm just going to open this document up and let's make sure we did that. So when we did file, save, let's do save as a copy so we can look at it. Notice here we have in the drop down, so we have again the location, the name, and then here save as type. See here, a Word 97 to 2003. So that's going to be an older, like that would be a DOC document. You can save it as a Word document. If you have the software to do it, you can even save a Word document as a PDF. A PDF, of course, is just like a non-editable version of a document, right? So you can send it to people. They can't change a whole lot of it, but it stays, everything stays where it's supposed to be, right? So it's a non-editable document as a PDF. Okay. I want to leave this last few minutes at 6:48. Are there any questions about what we did today, or are there any questions about anything we've covered in previous classes on Microsoft Word? If not, we can do a little bit of review.
Can you show us again how to put two documents on one screen?
Oh yeah, how do you get two documents on one screen?
Yeah.
Yep, for sure. So let's see. So let me get a second document here. Let me open up another Word document. So I'm gonna have, oh, no, let's do like a summer party flyer thing. Okay. So let's say you have these two documents, right? So we
Mhm.
have, we know that we can resize it kind of manually, right? You can
Mhm.
kind of grab the corners and resize it, but this takes a little bit. This takes a little bit of effort to do,
Right.
right? To do this. So the faster way to do it, let me the the faster way to do it is to grab one of the documents and
Mhm.
bring it to the side. See when I bring it right here to the side, see when my cursor, my mouse gets to the right to the edge of the screen, and see that little gray box that popped up?
Uh,
Okay, you guys didn't see it. I was just looking at what you guys were seeing. Okay, I'll show it to you again. So let's say we have these two documents and I want them both on the same page on this screen. So I bring it over. When I bring it over, it here to the edge, is it? I don't know if you guys can see it. I'm looking at what you guys are seeing. It looks like it's not quite. But bottom line is when I bring this document all the way to the edge, so you see how I can move it, right? So you want to move it all the way to the edge like this. When you move it halfway off and you release, you see this menu here now. You see it's got the summer party on the left, and then
yeah.
it's giving me the options of these are all the other windows I have open. It's
Okay.
asking what do I want on the other half of the page.
Okay.
So then you just click, I'm going to click this one, and then it's going to put that on the other half of the
Oh,
page.
okay. Thanks.
Yeah, that's really useful too. And sometimes you could even do four if you're working on a bigger screen. You can do four like this. See, now I can like bring up, let's say I wanted to bring up the Zoom channel, right? So now I can have three windows open right now, right? And so you can kind of play with this. It gives you a lot of options. Now I have four windows open because again, every time you take something off to the edge like this, I take it off to the edge here and release it, it just comes right back in. Okay. So yeah, a lot of ways to do that. And it's really nice because you don't have to size it individually.
Thanks for that reminder.
Of course. I'm going to stop the recording now, actually.